Welcome back to another weekly roundup of cloud gaming news brought to you by yours truly. Remember, if you want to stay up to date with all the latest in cloud gaming, be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications, and if you enjoy the content, give the video a like, it really helps me out. And if you want to continue the conversation after this video, like a big boy channel, we now have an official Discord, which I'll link in the description down below. Come join us. But for now, let's jump into the news. And first up, we have some new games coming to Google Stadia. And if you're a regular on the channel, you'll know my personal opinion that the Stadia platform, in my opinion, needs to lock down some more AAA titles, some bigger games, some content that isn't just indie titles, party games, or just bigger titles that weren't released like a year ago. So this week we had confirmation in a community blog post that Elder Scrolls Online Greymoor will be coming to Stadia on June the 16th, and it will be free to Stadia Pro subscribers. Editing Mark here, just to clarify on that last point, because I feel like the announcement wasn't exactly clear, and that's what led to my confusion. I had to go through like 4 different articles to get it in like plain English. So just to clarify, the base game and Morrowind expansion will be included for free to all Stadia Pro subscribers, but that does not include the Somerset, Elsewhere, or the new Greymoor expansion. You'd need to upgrade to the Greymoor edition to get those, and all other optional DLC is available individually to buy or becomes freely accessible if you subscribe to the ESO Plus for $14.99 per month. That subscription fee is entirely optional, but does include a minor 10% experience boost, craft bag for unlimited crafting material storage, and the aforementioned access to all DLC packs other than the big chapter expansions. Speaking personally, this couldn't have come at a better time because I've been looking for a game to drain my life away while I wait for Amazon's New World, which got delayed to this summer. And speaking of new Stadia games, we're coming into the month of June, which means we got the announcement of the free Stadia Pro games for June. Starting off with the Power Rangers fighting game, which I both never knew existed and never knew I needed. We have Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. But for reals, if you're above the age of 25, let me know what color Power Ranger you were when you played Power Rangers in the playground. Next we have the Stadia exclusive co-op game Get Packed, followed by Super Hot, which honestly the only way to play this game is in VR, but I'll be very intrigued to see how it plays on a different platform, so I'll be checking this one out. Followed by Panzer Dragoon, which is the remake of Sega's 1995 classic. And finally Little Nightmares, which looks a little bit terrifying. Honestly, I'm a big horror movie guy, not into horror games. It's not my jam. And next, for feature updates for Google Stadia, we had confirmation of 1440p resolution support in the browser.
Dear God, it's beautiful.
This is something I saw a couple of weeks ago, but it was from Reddit users, so I'm always kind of weary to report on that stuff, but it seems like a couple of people did manage to stumble into an instance where this 1440p resolution was supported, but they weren't able to recreate those results, but it was a clear sign that this move was coming. So as we stated, this feature is for Stadia players who use the Chrome browser, and Google have gone on to say in their community post, we rolled out a new resolution option for Chrome. Players using a display with a resolution between 1440p and 4K will be able to stream in up to 1440p instead of 1080p, so long as they meet the requirements to play in 4K. And those requirements for 4K gaming on Stadia are a minimum download speed of 35 meg. Moving on to GeForce Now, and this week we've had another blog post from Nvidia in which they talk about a move which could mean another massive shift in the available game library. Yes, this week GeForce Now confirmed that they've officially moved to an opt-in model, which means that publishers and developers will have to actively choose to have their games available and streamable on GeForce Now. In the blog post, Nvidia states, going forward, only the games that are opted in will be available on the service, providing confidence in the GeForce Now game library. Some publishers are still figuring out their cloud gaming strategies. Those that haven't opted in as of May 31st will be removed. So we can assume publishers and developers have had a good amount of time to think about this and respond to Nvidia, with them also stating in this community blog post, the response has been strong with over 200 publishers committing to streaming on the service. As it stands right now, there is a published list of both games and developers who have decided to opt into GeForce Now, and their games will remain on the service, as well as the games that you will lose as of the 31st of May, so I'll leave a link to that list in the description down below. The good news is the opt-in list is much larger than the opt-out list, which I'll have up on screen here, and I'll be interested to hear from you if any of the titles on this opt-out list are the reason you subscribe to GeForce Now, and its removal would make you stop using the service. Despite this being another disruption and shift in available content on GeForce Now, this is actually a good move. This is essentially a settling down of the service, with the games being available now, They're there because the publishers have actively chose for them to be available to be streamed on GeForce Now. Something that, yeah, legally speaking, probably should have been there in the first place. But now, as a player, should give you more confidence that the game you're playing on GeForce Now won't suddenly be removed without warning due to publisher disputes. And finally, on GeForce Now, I did you all this service last week when we were talking about Stadia, so I'll do it again here. If you opted in for the free trial of the founders tier of GeForce Now, even with the extension that Nvidia gave because of the previous disruptions, I'm here to remind you that free trial is quickly coming to an end. So if you've been unimpressed with the stability of the platform, the games available, or even just the quality of the streaming, this is your official reminder to cancel it.
First time.
But if you're sticking with the service, you're happy to start paying that subscription fee, or you're about to cancel, I'd love to hear why in those comments down below. Next, in some quick news on XCloud, a service I don't get to talk about that regularly because they are just quietly ticking away in their beta phase. We had news from Microsoft this week that they will be adding 5 new games to what is already a pretty extensive library for a service which is still in beta. So those games are Batman Arkham Knight, Pillars of Eternity, Mortal Kombat X, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and Lego Batman 3 Beyond Gotham. So yeah, this is some good news for XCloud. As I said, a service we don't hear a lot from now. It's good to see some progress that they're pushing along in their beta phase, adding some new titles, and maybe the addition of these titles will push some beta testers who might have put the service down to jump back in and check out the new games. The next thing we can probably expect to see from the XCloud beta, hopefully, will be the release of their Windows application, with some organizations like Windows Central already having the opportunity to test an early version of this, but this did appear to be restricted to console streaming and was also still capped at 720 on a monitor. Next, with big players like Google, Microsoft, and Nvidia already trying to get an early hold on the cloud gaming market, could Steam be looking to join the party? And of course, when I say party, when I'm talking about cloud gaming, I'm talking less popping bottles and bitches and more, I need a cleric for my dungeon raid.
Let's do this. Leroy Dragons!
So this isn't actually the first time this has popped up for discussion. Last year, after an update to the Steam partner site, the term Steam Cloud Gaming popped up without any explanation. So this has come up again this week, as this term seems to have reappeared in some recent Steam code, with Twitter user The Xpoor sharing this screenshot on Twitter stating, "Latest Steam client beta adds more support for Steam Cloud Gaming operations and timed trials." So with my extensive knowledge of coding, yeah, there seems to be some API calls for creating new cloud gaming sessions, get calls for the amount of time remaining in those sessions, and displaying the amount of time remaining to users. So with similar code which has been available in the past, we know that Steam specifically calls out other cloud gaming type products that they have already, specifically with different names to what has been quoted in these screenshots, labeling things with the likes of Nvidia for GeForce Now, or Steam Link and Steam Remote Play. So all we can do is speculate at this point with nothing officially confirmed from Valve, but with their history of pushing new technology forward, it really wouldn't surprise me if in the future we were hearing about a new offering from Steam. So what are your thoughts on a Steam cloud gaming platform if you could access your entire Steam library and the Steam store, and not just what GeForce Now is allowed access to, and play all of those games on a potato? Is that a service that would beat out all of the other options for you? Let me know in those comments down below. Next, since we're all still bored in the house and in the house bored, apparently I'm so bored that I downloaded TikTok, here are some free games which are available from a range of different services. First up, from the Epic Games Store, we have Borderlands The Handsome Jack Collection, available completely free, and that contains Borderlands 2 and Borderlands the pre-sequel. Next, heading over to PlayStation, if you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber, the free games for June are Call of Duty World War II and Star Wars Battlefront 2. Jumping over to Xbox, and again, if you're a part of Xbox Gold, they appear to have lost the console games for June, but their free games available nonetheless are Shantae and the Pirate's Curse, Coffee Talk, Destroy All Humans, obviously the original, not the remake we're still waiting for, and Sine Mora, which I had to look up how to say that. I'm pretty sure I'm right. Next, heading back to PC, if you're a subscriber to Xbox Game Pass for PC, obviously they've just dropped Minecraft Dungeons, which I played on stream the other night. Is it a kid's game? Maybe. Did I enjoy it? Bet your ass I did. And then finally Stadia, obviously we've already run through their free Stadia Pro games for June, but I mean, Power Rangers, it was worth another mention. And then finally, as always, let's finish up on some quick Shadow news. And this week, if you haven't already heard, they've officially released their community forum. And for those of you wondering why this exists, obviously we've already got Reddit and Discord, and that's pretty much the reason why this exists. Is the current support and communication methods are quite widespread. It's difficult to track issues and track comments from users and collate all of that community feedback. Shadow have made it 100% clear that the Reddit and Discord channels are not going anywhere. They're still going to be used, but more in a social sense, with all of the support stuff officially moving to the community forum. So this would be the new place to go if you have any questions, if you need support, if you need to report a bug, if you want to suggest a feature. And Shadow have also stated this will be the #1 place where all of their news and brand new announcements will be posted first, before they go out in a newsletter, before they get discussed on the weekly Twitch streams. This is the place to go for new information. So I'll leave a link to that in the description down below. Be sure to head over and sign up. And finally, some big news if you suckle from the teat of Tim Apple. Yeah, that felt weird to say. Shadow have also announced that coming soon they will be launching a beta version of the iOS app, which will include keyboard support. So if you're using like an iPad setup, which I've seen some brilliant ones on the Shadow Discord, some great news for you. They've also said a second phase of this will be mouse support. And as I said, both of these will first go into beta. And if there's any news of these officially launching, then of course we'll let you know on the channel here. But that is it from me this week. So if you enjoyed the video or found it somewhat helpful, a like rating would be appreciated. If you haven't already, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications. Remember, new Discord link in the description down below, come join us. Hopefully everyone's staying safe out there. And as always, I shall see you in the next one.